In today's video, we're going to look at an interesting two-terminal device, a current regulator diode, also known as current limiting diodes or constant current diodes. Now, I do have to thank one of my viewers who actually came up to me while I was at work one day and handed me this data sheet and a couple of these current regulator diodes, and he said that I noticed that you don't have a video on these, so here you go and have fun with them. So thanks again for these parts. Well, they have diode in the name. They don't behave like ordinary diodes. In reality, these things are really JFETs, junction field effect transistors, that are hooked up in such a way to make them a constant current device. Now, I made a video about 2 years ago, number 374, that was all about current sources made from junction field effect transistors, and I'll link that video down below. And one of the things that video showed is if you take a JFET and you connect the gate to the source, it becomes a two-terminal current source. And then if you insert a resistor between the source and the gate connection, it's a two-terminal current source where you can adjust the current by varying that resistor. Now, current regulator diodes are basically just that device packaged up to be a convenient two-terminal device. So let's take a closer look at the current regulator diode, its characteristics, and a couple of applications for it. So let's look at the IV, or current voltage characteristic, of these current regulator diodes. As we start with 0 volts across the device and start bringing the voltage up, the current increases, and so it looks a little bit like a resistor at that point. But once the voltage reaches a voltage called the knee voltage, the current stops increasing, and further increases in voltage across the device gives you basically the same current, or a nearly constant current, through the device, hence a current regulator diode. In some sense, it's a little bit of a corollary to Zener diodes, which will limit voltage instead of current. These limited current instead of voltage. Let's take a look at both of them on the curve tracer real quick. Let's start off by looking at the Zener diode. I've got a 15 volt Zener hooked up between the test leads right here now. So as we start turning the voltage up on that, we can see we reach a point where very quickly the forward direction turns on and the current starts increasing. As I keep increasing the AC voltage across this device, also now eventually at some point, in this case at around 15 volts, the device starts conducting the other direction. That's the Zener voltage. So this is essentially a voltage regulating diode, okay, to regulate voltage at the Zener value. Let's take a look at what the current regulator diode does. Okay, so I've got a 1 milliamp rated current regulator diode in here now. Now, the current regulator diodes are designed to only be operated in the forward direction. So I'm not going to apply an AC signal to the device. We'll apply just a DC signal starting from 0 down here. And as I start increasing the voltage, we can see that the current is increasing as the voltage is being increased, and it kind of looks like a low value resistor. As I keep increasing the voltage, you reach a point where the current starts folding over, and further increases in voltage now have a near constant current. Okay, and this is applying up to, in this case, about 15 volts across the device. This particular device is rated to operate up to 100 volts. And we can see it's a nearly flat line, meaning that it's a very, very good current source. The flatter the line, the higher the dynamic impedance, and the better the current source is. Now, as mentioned earlier, these devices are actually JFETs with the gate to source connected, and also potentially with a resistor inserted in here between the source and the gate connection. The schematic symbol for a current regulator diode looks like this. It looks kind of like a circle with a line, anode and cathode, and the polarity of the device is indicated here. And the current direction is shown here, the conventional current direction. And again, check out the videos that I have on JFETs. I've got an introductory video on JFETs, as well as FET current sources. And again, I'll link both of these videos down below. These current regulator diodes are available in current ranges ranging from a few hundred microamps up to just a few milliamps. There's a lot of applications for constant current sources in general that I've uncovered some of those in past videos. And they can include things like bias circuits, drive for devices like LEDs or laser diodes or other types of devices, or sensors potentially. Also timing circuits, because you can do very precise voltage ramps by feeding a constant current into a capacitor. Also for things like active loads for amplifiers to give you higher gain and things like that. So just a few of the many applications for constant current circuits. And then by having a constant current circuit that's really just a two-terminal device, just makes it a very convenient and easy thing to use. So let's go take a look at a couple of those selected applications. The first one we'll take a quick look at is a linear voltage ramp. When you pass a constant current into or out of a capacitor, you create a voltage that changes linearly with time. And the equation that relates this is here. Don't let the differential scare you. All this really means is rate of change of voltage versus time. Like how fast is that voltage increasing or decreasing as a function of time. And that's really simply equal to the current value divided by the capacitance. So we can take a look at the slope of like that charging or discharging characteristic and determine that by these two parameters only. So what that means is with a known constant current, you can actually measure capacitance by measuring the slope of that voltage versus time. It's just rearranging this equation. So all we do is we take that known current that we have divided by the measured slope of that line, the volts per second of that line, and get the capacitor value. Let's take a look at that. So on the proto board here, I've got a 1 milliamp constant current diode connected in series with a 0.1 microfarad capacitor, and across them I've got a plus 12 volt power supply. And I've got a little jumper lead here that allows me to short the capacitor out, and then what I'll do is just very quickly just disconnect this, basically unshort the capacitor, and then this constant current will charge the capacitor, and we can see the slope on the oscilloscope. Now I've got my jumper wire shorted across the capacitor. If I quickly remove the short, we can see that linear rise. I'll just do that a couple of times. You can see that nice linear voltage change for each time that circuit opens up, and that constant current charges the capacitor. I've set the scope to do a single acquisition now, so I'll be able to stop and hold and take a look at the slope that I get. So with our waveform on screen, we can add a couple of cursors, and just by moving the cursors around just so that they're on the trace, we can actually make a measurement, and we can see that we're seeing about 10.43 kilovolt per second. That's the slope of that line. Now I know I've got 1 milliamp of current charging this capacitor, so if I take 1 milliamp divided by 10.43 kilovolt per second, I wind up with something that's just under 0.1 microfarads, which basically matches the value of the capacitor that I have. Now a fun and interesting application is to use this same characteristic but create a Sawtooth relaxation oscillator. And to do this, we're going to actually take an unusual use case for an NPN transistor used in breakdown, often referred to as kind of the Esaki region of the transistor. If we take a transistor such as a 2N3904 and we leave the base open, reverse bias the emitter to collector, that will eventually break down. But when it breaks down, it goes through a negative resistance region, meaning that if we look at the IV characteristic, the voltage across it will look like an open circuit, so you increase the reverse voltage across here, the voltage just increases with no current change, and then when it breaks down, the further increases in voltage actually cause the current to go, the voltage to decrease across the device, and basically exhibiting a negative resistance. We can take advantage of this to create a relaxation oscillator, because the voltage will ramp up on the capacitor until we reach this point, and then the capacitor will start discharging through that device until this device turns back off again, and then the process repeats itself. So let's first take a quick look at this breakdown characteristic on the curve tracer, and then we'll take a look at the circuit. And so I've got a 2N3904 hooked up with the positive of the sweep going to the emitter, the base open, and the collector going to ground. And as we start increasing that reverse voltage across that device, we can see that as we come up here, that's about 4 volts across, and there's about 6 volts, 7, about 8 volts or more. Again, no current flowing at all. And we reach a point where the thing starts to fold over here, just before we get to about 9 volts or so here. And then we can actually see that negative resistance characteristic here. So we're going to use this in parallel with the capacitor that we're charging up, and we'll create ourselves a simple little 3-component oscillator. So here we are back on the proto board. I still have 12 volts being applied to the top of the 1 milliamp current regulator diode in series with the capacitor. Now in parallel with this capacitor, we have the emitter of the 2N3904 connected up here, the collector connected down to ground, the base is open. And I've got the scope probe connected across the capacitor, and let's take a look at the scope and see what we have. Okay, I didn't change the horizontal scale, so I've got that same slope that I was looking at before. But we can see that slope is increasing until I get to about 9 volts. So I'm at 1 volt per division with ground down here at the bottom. So right about that 9 volts is where the transistor is breaking down, and then quickly discharges the capacitor to the point where that transistor breakdown stops, and then the charging repeats itself. This is just a free-running, 3-terminal Sawtooth oscillator. And the slope of the line can be varied by varying either the current or by varying the value of the capacitor. And therefore you can change the slope and therefore the frequency of your Sawtooth generator. We mentioned that the current regulator diodes are available from a few hundred microamps to about, a couple of milliamps, typically less than 5 milliamps. But what if you need a current of a larger value and you still want it to be a constant current? You can use the current regulator diodes effectively as a reference for a current mirror or current magnifier, like this simple circuit here. Here I've got a pair of 2N3904 transistors. I've got the 2 milliamp, in this case a 2 milliamp current regulator diode connected in series with one of these transistors connected in a diode fashion, collector to base, and then a ballast resistor. And the idea here is that if we ignore this part of the circuit for now, we're just going to send this current through this diode connected transistor, and then it's going to create a small voltage drop, in this case about 600 millivolts or so, across this 330 ohm resistor. Now connecting a similar transistor to that same voltage point, but then reducing the emitter resistor, we can create a current source with a larger current, and this will be a current sink, if you will, that will in this case be about 10 times larger than the reference current. And I say approximately because in order to make that exactly 10 times larger, we'd also have to make the area of this transistor 10 times larger than that one, which is not really practical to do, but for what we're doing here, you could always trim a resistor if you needed to get an exact multiple. Let's take a quick look at this on the proto board. So here's our 2 transistors. There's the 330 ohm resistor, the 33 ohm resistor, my 2 milliamp current regulator diode, and then these 2 are my connections to the ammeter. And if we zoom out, take a look at the ammeter, it's showing basically about 10 times the current, about 20 milliamps. So that's a simple current mirror, current magnifier circuit using a current regulator diode as the reference. In our final example, we'll show how a current source can help stabilize the gain of a differential amplifier with respect to the common mode voltage at the inputs. Now here's our test circuit. We've got a pair of NPN transistors. The type doesn't really matter. I think I'm using 2N3904s here. The collectors are loaded with 3.9K resistors to 12 volt supply. Emitters directly connected. And then a resistor setting the tail current, another 3.9K resistor. Now both the bases are connected through 20K resistors to a variable voltage source that I'm going to use to adjust the common mode voltage up or down. And this 10 microfarad capacitor provides a good AC ground for both those signals. And finally, I've got a signal generator that's just coupling in a sinusoidal signal into one side of the differential pair. Of course, that signal is not reaching the other side here because it gets shorted to ground through the 20K resistor here, so this input doesn't see it. So effectively I have a single-ended input, but by varying the common mode supply voltage here, I can vary the common mode signal that's applied to the differential pair, and we'll measure both the signal at the input, we'll measure the signal at one of the 2 outputs here, and then we'll vary the common mode voltage to see how the gain changes. And then we'll replace the 3.9K resistor with a current source and do the same experiment. So here's the circuit on the demo board. Again, here's the 2 3.9K collector load resistors, the 2 emitter-coupled 2N3904 transistors. These are the 20K resistors that are being tied into the common mode voltage source here. And then this is my 3.9K tail current resistor. There's the AC ground capacitor, and then my input coupling capacitor for the input signal to couple into one input. Let's take a look at the signals that we're looking at here. Channel 1 is looking at the voltage at the input of one side of the differential pair, DC coupled, so I can see the common mode voltage as well as the about 70 millivolt peak-to-peak sinusoidal input. This channel here is probing one of the outputs, one of the collectors of the amplifier itself. Just for reference, I'm also probing the 12 volt supply, so I can see that here as well. And then the voltmeter here is also measuring the common mode voltage that I'm applying to both inputs. Now ideally, a differential amplifier should reject any changes on the common mode voltage and only measure the differential input between the two inputs. And if there's a common mode variation on that, that should not be reflected in the output, and therefore should not affect the gain. But of course, since the tail current is being set by that 3.9K resistor connected between the emitters and ground, we are going to get a current change and therefore a voltage gain change. And we can see that if I vary the common mode voltage, we'll see it here and also see it on the meter, we can see the magnitude of the output increasing or decreasing depending on what that common mode voltage is. So the common mode rejection of this differential amplifier is terrible. So let's take a look at replacing that 3.9K tail resistor with the current source. Okay, so I've now replaced that 3.9K tail current resistor, the one connected between emitters and the ground, with a 1 milliamp constant current regulator diode. And now if we take a look at the output amplitude as a function of common mode, there's very little change in that amplitude, meaning that the gain of the amplifier is not directly affected or not dramatically affected by the common mode voltage at the input. So we've got good common mode rejection or good constant gain of the differential amplifier irrespective of what the common mode voltage is. And that was the whole goal of a differential amplifier in the first place. If you'd like a refresher on a differential emitter-coupled pair amplifier like we used in this example, I did a video on that several years ago as well, and I'll link that down below. Now while these current regulator diodes are a little bit esoteric, there's still several manufacturers that make them. Microchip or Microsemi is one manufacturer, as well as Semitech, Central Semiconductor, Linear Integrated Systems, Diode-Tech Semiconductor, Interfet, and a couple of others. I'll put some links down below to some of these manufacturers, but they're also available through distributors such as DigiKey and Mouser. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and a look into current regulator diodes and a couple of their applications. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please consider doing so. And thanks again as always for watching. We'll see you next time.